Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Speed Sports Racing Park, Houston's high speed playground for finals day here at round number 4 of the 2026 Texas Karting League. This event titled the Intergalactic Derby 2. You join us on a day where the blue skies from yesterday have been partially replaced by a little bit of cloud cover, which, although temperatures remain in the very high 90s and humidity also in the 50% bracket, feels slightly less debilitating than yesterday in terms of heat and sunshine, which is been blazing down on this circuit for seemingly weeks and weeks now. The first two races of today, the pre-finals for the the L206 senior heavies and masters, and the cadet L206 contenders have completed. We will bring you up to speed with those results later on. On track now will be the start of the L206 Senior Pre-Final. The largest field we have here, 23 drivers in total. This race, 7 minutes plus 2 laps. 100 points available for the race winner on a weekend where a total of 400 points can be won for any driver that wins the heat, the pre-final, and the main event. This is the penultimate round of Texas Karting League's sophomore season, but there has been no sophomore slump. In fact, this championship, now only 18 months old, has grown and gone from strength to strength, from a start point of 0, start of 2025, to 120 competitors, middle of 2026. Carter Kilgo and Josie Chambers share the front row of the grid. Bryce Frank, Jackson Young, Samuel Doros, Jacob Oliver, Reagan Seville, Brody Simmons, Raphael Krause, Landon Skinner, Holton Edwards, Joaquin Flores, Davis Buck, Morgan Pele, Shelby Ramirez, Abby Linval, Lucas Caceres, Colton Taylor, Grayson Pole, John Mayo, Librado Fuentes, Chris Totke, and Eva Blem, your starting lineup. The sun now peaks beyond some of the clouds that have partially enveloped this circuit. Sits in New Caney, Texas, about 70 miles north of the Gulf of America. The lights are out. 23 206 seniors head away from my commentary position on the outside of the final corner through the fast left, right, left sweepers down behind the rental car building at turn number 4. They then emerge back into my view at turn number 5, and they head a long way up the back straight towards turn number 6. Hard, 180-degree, left hand, a little bit of camber at the end of the back straight, into Switchback City. Out of Switchback City and through turns 9. Now they head down away from my point of view once again. Through turn number 10, it's a very fast right-left kink. Two carts at the back of the field have collided and locked together. The rest of the leaders, led by that electric blue livery machine of Carter Kilgo, come out of the boot up towards the final complex of corners as they complete lap number 1. Lap number 1, Carter Kilgo, Josie Chambers, Bryce Frank, Jackson Young, and Samuel Doros. Your top 5. My name is Henry Baudet, and I'm about time that we brought in the second member of the commentary team here this weekend, Adam Nunez. Adam, well, yesterday we saw a great battle in this particular race. The top 4 drivers were chopping and changing. It was a highlight of the day yesterday, and I've got to say, as I'm looking at the lead group of about 15 drivers coming through Switchback City into turn 8 and 9 now. It looks like we got more of the same here today.
Yeah, it's you can see a lot of the teammates grouped together right now. You've got all the ARA drivers up front. You got the Seville drivers grouped together. So they've obviously discussed beforehand what the plan's going to be for this race, and you can see a small breakaway. But I think that pack's going to close up by the end of the lap. You know, it's a bit of a longer race, but as they're coming to the line now, it looks like the leaders have switched up. Josie Chambers to the point. Carter Kilgo's dropped down to second. Bryce Frank, Jackson Young, and Reagan Seville are your top five. Seville moved up a couple spots. I believe it was Samuel Doris that dropped down to seventh position, but Landon Skinner also gets ahead of Doros.
Out of the race, Grayson Pole with John Mayo also, dropping out 2 retirements early on. You mentioned the ARA Academy drivers. That's the Alan Rudolph Academy drivers, and a black flag going out for John Mayo. John Mayo, the AR Racing driver, gets a straight black flag. Now, we have seen a couple of incidents, 2 drivers out of the race. Oh, and at the back of the pack there, just coming through turn number 9, that would be Colton Taylor and Lucas Caceres coming together. 23 drivers started this race, and I have to say, Adam, that a lot of the tail enders are sort of conspiring to eliminate themselves from contention.
Yeah, I think you get a little bit jumpier getting ready for the final because this sets you up for the final, but everyone wants to be as many positions as they can gain, but in that back of the pack, you feel a bit more pressure on yourself to move up faster, even though it's a decently lengthened race. You got 7 minutes plus 2 laps, but it's still, you don't want to wait behind enemy for too long. We talked about this yesterday with everyone trying to lead their group, but right now up front you have a group of 4 and about a cart length behind another group of 2. That's going to be the 2 Seville guys. But that turn 8 and 9, we've talked about it many times, Switchback City. That seems to be where a lot of the drivers this weekend have had some issues with going too wide, going 3 wide maybe. But
it's just so tempting, isn't it? It's so tempting, because you've got that long right-hander. The leaders are now coming to the fast left-hander at turn number 13, now into the turn 14 hairpin, just in front of the tack line, just in front of the scale line, now in front of the dummy grid, the covered dummy grid area. They cross across the front of that, past our commentary position, fast right-hander, and then as they head away from us, so we can see the backs of the carts crossing the start-finish line. They head all the way down at the bottom end of this facility. I actually think the trees that are to driver's left-hand side coming up the back straight are actually offering the drivers a little bit of shade in the morning. We have got a lead group of 6 as we've got another driver pulling off there. I think that might be Lucas Caceres in the 6, 7, 8. But let's take you through the top 6 as they head down towards the boot. There's one driver and the marshal at the side of the circuit. I think, could have seen yellow flag out there as that's Brandon Williams, our race director, who is helping get that driver off the circuit or get the cart off the circuit. But let's talk you through some of these drivers at the front, because these are drivers that some of them quite well. You race against them, Adam. You've got Josie Chambers, Carter Kilgo, Jackson Young, Bryce Frank, Reagan Seville, Landon Skinner, and then a gap to Samuel Doros. So the top 6 are all together. Some drivers quite well.
Yeah, and like that top 5, top 6, those are all pretty consistent drivers that do CKNA events as well. So they have a lot of experience, a lot of different tracks, but this is kind of the main track for a lot of those guys. Kilgo, Young, Frank, Seville, they spend a lot of time testing here, so they know this track like the back of their hand. But that group, as they keep on fighting a bit more and more, that's going to allow the kind of backed off cart of Doros to close in a little bit to that front pack. But they've kind of smoothed it out a little bit in terms of how aggressive they're racing, waiting for the 2 flags to go into the air. And I think it's going to be another lap before we get those 2 sticks. But you can already see a couple of those packs breaking away. At the start of the race, everyone seemed nice and close together. But as we've gone through this race, you've seen a bit more separation.
Yeah, indeed. So 6 together for the race lead. Then a gap of 1.5 seconds back to Samuel Doros, who is all on his own in second position. Then a gap of 3 seconds behind Doros to the 8th place battle, which is Jacob Oliver, followed by Morgan Pele, Joaquin Flores, Rafael Kraus, Brody Simmons, Eva Blem from the back of the grid, Davis Buck, Shelby Ramirez, Abby Lindvall, Librado Fuentes, Holton Edwards, and I think that would be Holton Edwards in 18th position is the last driver still running. So the mice have got the machinery, so to speak, in terms of mechanical attrition, but also there's been a little bit of a driver-related attrition as well. Up at the front, coming in at turn number 14 now, the closest part of the circuit to our commentary box. Sun now shining, and it glints off that electric blue graphics kit on the AR Academy number 667 car of Carter Kilgo. Now, 2 sticks are in the air, Adam. This is where business picks up.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a bit more aggression from all those drivers from second on down to fifth, because second's really the last spot you want to be, because if you're sitting in third, trying to be patient, that opens the door up for 2 carts ahead of you to kind of slow you down, might have to check up, and that allows everyone behind you to take their shot. But right now, you can see Josie Chambers trying to not really take a defensive line, but he just knows that these guys are going to go for a move sooner than later and got to be ready for it. But right now we see Carter DB, Josie Chambers, a lot of those guys we've mentioned, the top 5. He's pretty back and forth on the head-to-head with those guys. You know,
oh yeah,
Henry, you've got it pulled up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by that. So, for example, Josie Chambers, our race leader at the moment. No, he's no longer our race leader. He's down to 3rd position, white flag in the air. We'll get back to Carter DB in a minute, which is a fantastic new tool. As the white flag goes out, Chambers, and this is what I feared would happen. If you're in a pack of 6, as one driver opens the door, the race leader gets hung out to dry by the laundry.
And that's going to be the same thing that happened right now. It looks like Kilgo's on the inside, but he has a little bit of a bump draft line going around, but he's going to hold it going into Switchback City. But they're 2 wide, 2 rows back. Move in the inside for Chambers, but it's not going to hold. Looks like Young is going to keep 2nd position as further on back. Bryce Frank moves ahead of Skinner on this white flag lap, and it looks like Kilgo's going to have the lead going into the turn 11 hairpin.
The boots.
They're going to be 3 wide coming out of it. Young to the lead, Chambers in 3rd, Kilgo in 2nd, but it looks like Chambers is going to move back on the inside, coming around the final corner now, and it's going to be Jackson Young who's going to take the win in the pre-final, and then they're going to be 3 wide coming across the line, 2 rows back. It's going to be Chambers who sneaks it away ahead of Bryce Frank by 2 thousandths of a second.
2 thousandths of a second. That is the closest margin for a top 3 position. Jackson Young and Josie Chambers, 2 privateer entries according to our Alpha timing screens. Then a pair of AR Academy, Alan Rudolph Academy drivers. Oh, it's like Noah's Ark. 2 by 2 by 2. 2 privateers, 1 and 2. 2 AR Academy drivers, 3 and 4. 2 Seville Racing drivers, 5 and 6. Reagan Seville rounding out that top 6. Samuel Doros finishes 7th. Jacob Oliver is 8th. Morgan Pele is 9th. 10th for Brody Simmons. Then it is Rafael Kraus, Joaquin Flores, Eva Blem, Davis Buck, Librado Fuentes, Abby Lindvall, Shelby Ramirez, and Holton Edwards. I saw Shelby Ramirez coming together with, I believe that might have been Holton Edwards. No, Holton Edwards retired. Edwards, Caceres, Mayo, Taylor, Chris Totke, and Grayson Pohl failing to finish. That's something, Adam, that we don't tend to see a great deal of. A lot of retirements. Yesterday, I have to say, the 206 seniors were very well behaved. This morning, I think maybe because this is the pre-final, a lot of them taking a lot more risk, going for moves that maybe weren't quite on. We saw a straight black flag for one driver, and straight black flag for one driver, which is unusual to see, but I think it sets a good precedent. The recovery vehicle is on track, and that is, is that the Chris Trotke kart? Chris Trotke, our driver who lost his lower left leg in a motorcycle accident. It hasn't affected his ability to drive. He's got a prosthetic. He's got really one of the cool prosthetic legs that, the athletes wear. And of course, he is an athlete. He's a kart racer. And Chris Trotke, he will have to go out in the final, starting towards the back of the field. What have we got coming up for you today, ladies and gentlemen, watching on the Texas Karting League YouTube channel, while you're listening on the Texas Karting League YouTube channel. Audio only at the moment. So this is an old school MRN, PRN radio broadcast for your listening pleasure. The next race up will be Junior 206. Then we're into the Rotax classes. Senior Rotax, Mini Max, Junior Max, Micro Max, the last two races on the rotation, the combined Master Max and Club Max grid, and then the FC125 Senior Shifters. Then we will have a lunch break. About at 1 p.m. local time, we will go for the finals. The finals, of course, the longest races of the day. For those of you who are new to Texas Karting League, for those of you who are listening, wherever you are listening around the world, this is where we are. Speed Sports Racing Park. It has been in existence for over about 20 years now, I believe. We are situated, maybe a bit less than that, so about 15, 20 years. We are overlooking the final corner here. And if you can see a track map anywhere, that is turn 15. That's where Adam and I are based, in the timing and scoring tower. Directly in front of us, you can see the balcony. The Stars and Stripes flag is not fluttering because there is no breeze this morning. To our right, just below us, you can see the covered dummy grid area. Bob Williams at the front of the dummy grid, monitoring that. Behind the bottom end of the covered area, Mike Edwards is there in tech, and Heather Underwood in the scale line. Behind us, the pits, the garages, owned and operated by the circuit themselves with some of the regular teams. To our right, the paddock. Full, not to bursting, but nicely full. Lots of easy up awnings, privateer, independent driver tents. Everybody sheltering. Nobody has ventured into the bleachered grandstands yet. To our left, you have the rental kart circuit. And beyond that, the food zone, which yesterday was hosting a classic car show. The car park on this Sunday morning virtually deserted as Texas slowly wakes up to another scorching hot summer's day. The circuit spreads out in front of us. The track goes away from us as they go across the start-finish line. There is a nice, very well appointed two-story rental kart building that just obscures our view in the entrance to turn number 4. We'll describe a lap of the circuit next, but for the meantime, it is L206 Junior pre-final. Here is your starting lineup.
So after a good Heat 1 yesterday, Sawyer Chambers is going to start on pole position for the pre-final with Clayton Stiles lined up alongside him. And then dropping down to the second row, you've got Nico Urbezo and Simon Nguyen. And followed by them are Levi Metter and Malik Muhammad in 5th and 6th. Then you've got Dylan Silver in 7th and Cole Rakea in 8th. Max Estrada in 9th, and Mia Johnson, after an unfortunate Heat 1 yesterday, is starting in 10th position. Davis Buck is signed up for the race, but has decided to go ahead and go to Senior Max, which is right after this race, and that'd be a bit too much of a load for him to handle.
I think so, especially in this weather, which has been brutally hot. I said, temperatures nearing triple digits here in New Caney. In fact, it's only 87 degrees at the moment, but there's plenty of room for improvement. The drivers are in to the tram lines. The lights go out. We are off and racing. Sawyer Chambers leads Clayton Styles, Nico Orbezo, Simon Goyen, Levi Mido, Malik Mohammed, Cole Rekwa, Dylan Silver, Mia Johnson, and Max Estrada. Everybody safely through the first very fast flip-flop sections, up the back straight, into turn number 6. That 180 degrees, slightly banked right-hander into Switchback City, which does exactly what it says on the tin. And then through the middle portion of the lap, they then head down through turn number 10. The track jinks right, flicks left, you're flat out. As you come out of the left, a small straight into a heavy braking zone. Another 180-degree hairpin, turn 11, known as the boot. You come out of the boot through a very fast right-hand kink at turn 12. Back up towards us at turns 13 and 14. Nico Orbezo leads lap number 1. And Adam, we have got a 5-car breakaway.
Yeah, so it looks like Sawyer Chambers didn't keep the lead this time around. He's going to drop down to 3rd position. Levi Metter had the fastest first lap, but those times are going to keep on dropping down as these guys continue to improve and continue to push each other. That 4-car breakaway is looking almost like 5. It looks like Levi Metter wants to take a look at the inside, and is it going to stick? No, it's not, but he has 2 more corners to get it done. Looks like someone goes up the inside.
Let's have a look. Yeah, there's a move going at the inside. There's an awful lot of wiring up here in the commentary position as we endeavour to get the paddock, FM radio, some audio and some visuals going on. Adam is the man when it comes to helping getting the wiring sorted, and it's thanks to Adam and John Mueller that we have got some audio for you to go out on YouTube as the leaders all start tripping over each other at turn number 14. Orbezo was clear of that, but it was Mido, Chambers, Styles, and Goyen, all sort of a little bit of sticker swapping, I think it is safe to say, that was going on there. Down the back straight, the top 5 drivers are now clear in a field of 10. So it's Orbezo, Styles, Mido, Chambers, our pole sitter, now down into 4th position, and Ngoyen. Through turns 9. Now 10. Hard on the brakes for the boot. Around the boot. Back up towards our commentary position. You can see the sun glistening off the number panels on the NASA panels on these carts. The yellow plates, black numbers on every single cart in every single class. Now the drivers head through turn 15, away from us again. The first section, we call it the flip-flops, a flat-out left, a flat-out right. Not quite a flat-out left, and then a heavy braking zone at turn number 5. And we've got a 4-cart breakaway now. It does look as though Simon Goyen, the new gen karting entrant in cart number 818, is slowly beginning to lose a little bit of touch with the top 4 rather. Still 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Now the top 4 are clear. Goyen in 5th position is all on his own. And then everybody else in a second group. So you've got one group of 4. Thank you, Adam. It is Nguyen, not Goyen, Simon Nguyen in 5th position. We've got a 4-cart breakaway. Then Nguyen, all on his own in 5th. And then the other 5 drivers in the class, led by Malik Mohammed, Mia Johnson, Cole Rakia, Dylan Silver, and Max Estrada, are all together. But it's Orbezo who has managed to keep his nose out front so far.
Yeah, and it looks like Sawyer Chambers has worked his way back up a little bit after the not so ideal start for him. But we talked many times about that Reed Motorsports group and how their success has been in the 4-stroke categories. And that seems to be the case so far in Iron Rock, especially Nico Orbezo has always been a highly competitive driver, always the one you want to beat. And looks like Sawyer Chambers is going to drop down to 4th position again. coming out of turns 8 and 9. So that front four packer back and forth constantly, and that's going to slowly allow Simon Nguyen to catch up. I don't know if he's going to have the pace to catch up in time, but we've still got a minute 50 plus 2 laps. So if these guys continue to keep fighting, or worst case scenario, they fight each other too much and really slow each other down, that's going to allow that number 818 of Simon Nguyen and also that kind of other pack to catch up a little bit. But right now, Orbezo is still in the lead with Sawyer Chambers in second, Clayton Stiles in third, Levi Metter is in fourth. A little bit further on back with a gap of 2.9 seconds is Simon Nguyen. And then further on back from that is another 2-second gap to Mia Johnson, Malik Muhammad, Dylan Silver, Max Estrada, and Cole Rakea. So right now, it looks like Levi Metter might be dropping back a little bit from that front group, maybe playing it safe, playing it patient, but we've talked many times throughout this weekend how draft dependent, how teammate reliant, and how just how much you have to work together in the 4-stroke racing. You can't get too much of a breakaway. A lot of times in these kinds of races at a track like this, you'll really want someone you know and you trust to be up with you up front and just really spend those first couple of laps driving away as fast as you can, get a gap between second and third, but that has not been the case so far.
Well, that's an excellent point you make, Adam. 4-stroke karting, it's all about momentum. You haven't got the high end. You got a lot of grunts coming out of corners, but you need to be smooth. You can't put a wheel wrong. Tactics, what you lack in top end high speed, you make up for in racing now. Smarts. You've got to be smart. You can't just throw the car into a corner, get the back end sideways, and expect that 2-stroke oomph and instant delivery of power to get you out of trouble. You really have to drive. It's no Oliver Bearman and Alex Albon. Both started in the UK in 4-stroke karting. They didn't move into 2-stroke karting until they had mastered what we call in the UK Honda Cadet. It works for them. We have got to change for the race lead, however. Into turn number 14, it's now the 845. Sawyer Chambers, as the 2 sticks go in the air, 2 laps to go. Chambers retakes the lead for the first time. That tells me he is a patient driver.
Yes, that's been a sort of the same thing you've seen out of a couple of the senior drivers, and that's going to be, I'm not sure how many years these guys have left until they move up to that senior class, but that racing IQ is not going to pay off. He gets 2 cars going to push right by him, and he's going to drop back down to 3rd place, and it looks like Orbezo and Stiles are going to take back the front of this race, and that's going to slowly allow Levi Metter, who dropped down a little bit, to catch back up with 2 laps to go. But whenever earlier I was talking about, maybe these guys can fight, allow Nguyen to catch up, they had a fire lit under them, and they just pulled away with it. And it looks like there's going to be a switchback attempted, but I'm not sure it's going to be completed out of turn number 11.
Yeah, up towards turn number 13 now. They flick left, hard on the brakes for that turn 14 hairpin. Oh, Bezo runs a bit wide. Bezo runs wide at turn number 14 and drops to 3rd place as they take the white flag. We've got 4 for the race lead. Stiles, Chambers, Orbezo, and Mirador. And for the first time all race, as we start lap number 9, Clayton Stiles takes the point. Down the back straight they go. Stiles hugging the inside line. Trees to the left. Grass to the right. Marshals watching on from underneath their tiny little tents, offering a little bit of shade. The clouds that we had this morning have gone. Blue skies over the circuit, side by side for the race lead. Chambers and Stiles have got it. Here comes Orbezo back. Orbezo to the inside. And who is this? Is that Chambers trying to go around the outside at the boot? I think Orbezo. No, it's Stiles with the race lead. 2 corners to go. Clayton Stiles has got to put it on the point coming into the final corner. Orbezo is right there, but it's going to be number 837. Clayton Stiles. He only led 1 lap, Adam. It was the most important one of all. The last lap. Stiles wins the pre-final. From Orbezo, Chambers, Mirador, Simon Nguyen in 5th position. Mia Johnson 6th. I've got to say, Max Estrada crossed the line celebrating 7th position. That's something I love to see, because not every single driver is at the same part of the career development in this class. So for Estrada, that P7 obviously meant an awful lot. Dylan Silver, 8th. Paul Requa, 9th. And Malik Mohammed in 10th position. That's a great example of 4-stroke racing there, Adam.
Yeah, and we talked about patience the whole race. Clayton Stiles was so patient, we didn't even consider him until the last lap. It was sitting where he needed to sit and kind of understanding what these guys are going to do. And when the opportunity came, he snatched up and grabbed it, and that's how he got the win here. And Chambers, he had the fastest lap of the race, but it just the racecraft didn't pay off the way he wanted it to. And Stiles and Rebeso have been, I believe, they're teammates on Iron Rock. And
Yeah, yes.
that's kind of what happened. And Metter had a bit of a run on the last couple laps after those guys fought here and there, but it just wasn't enough. He looked for a couple moves, but just couldn't get it to stick. But Stiles with a very impressive win out of that front 4-pack.
Yes, indeed. Well, that would be race pre-final number 4 out of the way. Very shortly, it's going to be the start of the Rotax classes. Senior Rotax, the headliner class, 9 drivers, all battling for a TKL Texas Karting League title. The Marshals, all on post, some of them venturing out just to discuss their job, their roles with upcoming races out in the blazing sunshine. Bob Williams on the grid gives the drivers the signal to head out onto the track. Senior Rotax pre-final coming up next. Here is your starting lineup.
Joey Friend, after a very dominant win in the heat race yesterday, is going to start first with Tommy Traylor in second, Cameron Reed in third, Davis Buck in fourth. And that was a group that was kind of back and forth the whole race. You never could tell who was going to run away with it or get that other front row position, but it was Tommy Traylor. And going on down to the third row, you've got Dylan Astori alongside Aiden James with Josh Norman in seventh and Jaden Sadek in eighth. Ethan Wilson got disqualified in the heat race, and that's why he'll be starting further on down.
Yes,
because
there was well, you know when you say put a pound in the meter. In the UK, we have a thing when something runs out of juice, you put an extra pound in the meter. Ethan Wilson's team didn't put an extra pound of lead on his cart, underweight after yesterday's heat. He was excluded, and a pushback bumper penalty for Aiden James. Watch for Josh Norman. He retired from that race, but the question is, Adam, can anybody hold a candle to Joey Friend?
Yeah, and it looks like Josh Norman was actually the third fastest in the warm-up this morning. Slightly different conditions. The track was still getting some sunlight on it, but now sun's been on it for a bit longer as the Texas sun beats down on it. But Joey Friend, as the lights go out, is going to pull away. He's going to be single file while everybody else is fighting to get their position through. Too wide, further on back for a couple rows. We lose view for a second, but coming onto the straightaway, it's going to be Joey Friend in the lead of this race with 2 drivers neck and neck going down to turn 6. I believe that is Tommy Traylor and
Cameron Reed up in a second. You can see the fleur de lis from the Lafayette University student now losing second place. Reed back to third, but I've got to say, Adam, they don't want to be messing about. Traylor and Reed, they need to get their ducks in order because Joey Friend is already 10 kart lengths in front. Yesterday, we talked about Joey Friend's somewhat individual, unique shirts that he wears under his race suit. It's like Robert De Niro at a Cape Fear. If you've ever seen that film, those slightly menacing yet Hawaiian-esque, button shirts that De Niro made famous in the film Cape Fear. That is Joey Friend's sort of and his race suit style. I've got to say, Tommy Trailer. Yesterday, Trailer was already about 2 seconds adrift at this point. Trailer has got the bit between his teeth, though, Adam. He is chasing the race leader down.
Yeah, you have Trailer and Friend Trailer trying to catch up to Friend right now with 2 cars behind, and then everybody else is packed up together further on back. But right now, it looks like whatever the juice was in Friend's car yesterday, maybe it came down a little bit. He goes fastest with a 55.3, but Tommy Trailer only 0.2 slower that lap, and there's still a lot of time in this race, 5 minutes plus 2, and these guys are running a sub-minute lap. So 7 laps of racing approximately here to go. On the straightaway, it looks like Friend just seems to get a bit of a better exit, but under the braking zone seems to be where Trailer closes back into that gap, and now further on back, you have Reed defending against Davis Buck right now. Davis didn't have much of an exciting race yesterday because I believe it was actually Ethan Wilson who was in that front pack of 3, and Davis Buck was kind of stranded on his own. But right now, he's been given the opportunity because of the disqualification, and he's making the most of it right now in 4th position. And you have Dylan Ashtori right behind him. So I'd say it's a pretty close battle still. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of a breakaway up front as the gap from 1st to 2nd goes up 0.4 that lap. But Cameron Reed is trying to close that gap down to 2nd, maybe maximize the results for this race. Joey Friend is slowly starting to pull away, but a big thing here is also the tire pressures. At this track condition, tire pressures are a huge thing.
Again, you would know better than most here, Adam. I've got to say, that the problem that you have when you're Joey Friends, things can't get any better. You win a heat race by nearly 8 seconds. Well, that's about the maximum that you can get out of your kart, supposedly. But then you've got a situation where everybody else is working because they know what target they have to aim at. They're looking at lap times. They're thinking, okay, we got to get ourselves down to this. Trailer is already picked up his pace for the pre-final. So Friend, yes, he has an advantage. The advantage is 1.5 seconds. Yes, Friend has just set the new fastest lap of the race, 54.919 seconds. Yes, we're at halfway. We've had the cross flags. But at this point yesterday, the gap between 1st and 2nd was 4 seconds. Trailer and his team have already got that gap down. They've already worked and improved. However, they're strung out 1st and 2nd. The battle for 3rd place is, it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. A 5-car battle, Adam, for P3.
Yeah, and it looks like Davis Buck gave Cameron Reed a little bit of a nudge going into turn 6 when you have a driver turned around.
Oh, Ethan Wilson!
Further on back, that's going to be some salt in the wound for an already bad start to this race. But, going into turn 6, Davis Buck gave Cameron Reed a little bump. And knowing how Cameron races, she's going to respond to that very shortly. But
you're learning. Excellent work there. Adam, you're learning. Yes, how to be politically correct. Whilst telling the story, yes, Cameron Reed, diminutive figure, but she has a voice. And she lets that voice be heard when the time is right. She also lets her driving do the talking most of the time. As I say that, she dives back underneath Davis Buck going into turn number 6 to retake P3.
And I'll leave it a bit up for interpretation, but she didn't bump Davis Buck to get the position back.
No.
It seems that actually he's going to get the position right back.
He had a look. He had a look,
but didn't keep it. And now Dylan Ashtori is going to join the conversation on the bumper of Davis Buck. He spoke to me yesterday. He said that he has the pace to get past him, but now can he prove those words to be correct? Because right now he's been staring at that bumper for this entire race so far. But the gap up front, Joey Friend keeps on pulling away, sets some pretty good laps. So everyone else seems like their pressures were right on point because now their times are starting to even out, plateau a little bit. But Davis Buck didn't have the right brake, and it looks like another driver spun around a little bit too hard on the brakes.
Josh Norman, I think that is.
Yes, you spoke yesterday about the marriage of Josh Norman, I believe.
Yes, newly married. Luckily, he didn't slam the brakes on so hard in his relationship. Otherwise, his missus would be very unhappy. Slammed his brakes on way too hard there. Quick rotation, but he is back in the game. Back in the game in ninth and last position. So as we cross 7 laps, 30 seconds to go. Next time by, they will get the 2 lap to go. The 2 sticks in the air. Joey Friend's lead now extends to 3.8 seconds. Once again, Joey Friend's car gets quicker and quicker, a 54.679 last time around. He leads Tommy Trailer by nearly 3.8 seconds. Trailer over 3.5 seconds in front of the 2 remaining combatants for third position, Reed and Buck. That spin for Josh Norman not only delayed him, it also delayed Dylan Ashtari in 5th, Jaden Sadek in 6th, and Aidan James in 7th. Ethan Wilson had already been delayed slightly in 8th, and now Josh Norman back to 9th. But Friend, 2 sticks in the air. You can see the orange shoulders on his CRG Arcane Motorsport race suit. He flicks left, right, left, down to the bottom of the circuit. The tarmac, you said, obviously, Joey Friend will be more of an expert on the tyre pressures here at this particular circuit. You said they were so important. Last night, temperatures dipped, and I say that to about 70 degrees. Now they're baking again. Yeah, the actual official temperature here in New Caney is only, and I say this, only 89 degrees Fahrenheit. But it feels more like 92, according to my weather app. It will rise. We're expecting at about 3 o'clock this afternoon, just as the final couple of finals, it will rise to 100 degrees again. White flag, though, in the air for Joey Friend. And I think at this point, Tommy Trailer has really eased back. He's 5 seconds back now, Trailer. He's in tyre conservation mode.
Yeah, and it looks like the gap between Reed and Buck has opened up a little bit, but there was a bit of a move back and forth between Ashari, Sadek, and James. They going into turn 6, 7, 8, 9. It was back and forth. Ashari managed to keep it ahead, but it looks like Sadek and James are going to be fighting more and more. And actually, Sadek is going to have to defend a little bit here on the final lap. But Joey Friend up front, coming through the last couple of corners now, had another dominant win, assuming he can make it out of the final corner without issue. But Cameron Reed also managed to get that defense, and there is going to be a checkered and black flag in the air. It looks like someone might have made a small mistake in this race, or a big mistake.
Well, you're right. And I've got to say, this will be the second black flag. We're waiting to see who the flag is pointed at, or we're not going to see who the flag is pointed at, but that means that somebody has been excluded. I'm not quite sure who that would be. Tram lines and track limits. Now, I've got to say, I'm very impressed, and I'm not one known necessarily just to praise, heap praise on organisers just because I'm at their event. I don't deal with that. That's not the way I roll. Sometimes you got to call a spade, even if it means upsetting the people that have employed you for the weekend. However, the fact that we are seeing black flags at the start of finals day is a really, really positive thing. It sets the tone for the day. No, the organisers are not going to tolerate track limits abuse. No, the organisers are not going to tolerate people just ignoring the tram lines. No, the organisers are not going to tolerate contact driving. Yes, we're going to expect there's going to be incidents. There always are. And sometimes those are racing incidents. And no, we're not going to see black flags for things like that. However, drivers that making mistakes that should know better, they've already seen 2 black flags in the first 4 races of the day. And I've got a heap praise on that, because that means the finals will be better for it. So, Joey Friend, Senior Rotax, undefeated, unstoppable, question mark, maybe. We will have to wait and see. Next race up. Next race up is going to be Minimax coming up very, very shortly. Okay. On to the circuit they come. A really strong Minimax grid. Take you through some of the contenders. Well, Mace Lasik ended up winning yesterday's heat race after Tyler Blackwood found himself on the wrong side of the tech law. Wyatt White, who I have to say is a lucky boy to still even be here racing. Wyatt was involved in an incident, a nose cone related incident. And Wyatt, I hope that he has learnt his lesson and is understanding that there have been many a driver that have been completely excluded from an event for tampering with nose cones. Wyatt did not, although there was a general bit of discussion, and I think that Wyatt has learnt his lesson. Later, Cohen Scott, Alexander Mosley, Marcelo Tosta, Jaden Jolivet, Jude Hendrickson, Liam Haswell, Kensley Howie, Valentin Avellino, Alan Zanuck, Drew Blem, Tyler Blackwood starting from the rear. Watch for the number 128 cart of Tyler Blackwood. Won yesterday, had a post-race exclusion in tech. Mace Lasik is your championship leader and your pole sitter. Into the tram lines. Lights go out. A great start from Mace Lasik. Leads the field through turn number 1, but from the second row of the grid, I think that was Cohen Scott who threads the needle between the two front row starters, and Cohen Scott gets the jump, and well, he was fired out of a cannon, was Cohen Scott, into the turn 6 area. Now around switchback City. Oh, and in the middle of the pack, there's a chain reaction. Somebody has lost a tyre that rolls all the way across the circuit and almost lands on the outside of turn number 6. Is that a tyre? It's got to be. One cart pitting straight away. We will get a name check on that one. Another driver out of the race on the spot, but it's Cohen Scott, the number 192 the Scott Robinson Racing Mint Motorsport cart, who leads. From grid 13, Tyler Blackwood is up into P4, and it's Mace Lasik who is out of the race. The tyre came off Lasik's cart. There was a chain reaction. Lasik didn't get away wonderfully well. I think he must have felt there was a problem with his tyre. He made it as far as turn number 7, and he is standing and applauding mockingly, I have to say, another driver. But certainly, Lasik's wagon has only 3 wheels on it. And I would say that that may have been a problem that was manifesting itself right from the start. And unfortunately, it ended at Switchback City with Lasik and Valentin Avellino out of the race. Alexander Mosley was also involved in that incident and is down in 13th position. The other 12 drivers all emerging virtually unscathed. The second place driver, though, Marcelo Tosta, spins going into turn number 7. He was trying to make a move on Cohen Scott and just got it. Went to the inside, realized the door was closing at that sharp left-hander, stood on the anchors, the back end of the cart looped around, and Marcelo Tosta now finds himself back in 13th position. It means that Wyatt White and Tyler Blackwood, in fact, make that Blackwood already up to P2. Blackwood closing in on Scott. through the flip-flops. The left, the right, the left again, down to turn number 4. Blackwood on that Bennett kart from the back of the field. He's just got a huge straight line speed advantage. Blackwood simply mirror signal maneuver. That kart has some serious waft. But Blackwood now runs a little bit wide coming out of turn number 9. He is your new race leader. Scott second. Wyatt White in third. They come through the boot, back up towards me now. The short straight in towards turn 13. They flick left, hard on the brakes coming out of the left-hander. Into turn number 14, in front of the family members, the mechanics, and the spectators, still crowding under the shelter of the dummy grid in this baking hot summer Sunday afternoon here at Houston's high-speed playground. Down the back straight, those trees offering less and less shadowing, less and less respite from the drivers. Oh, Cohen Scott deep into the braking zone at turn number 6. Gives Tyler Blackwood a bit of a love tap and then backs out of it. Blackwood continues to lead through the boot. The top 3 clear. Andres Pena moving into Minimax from Micro in the number 32, number 132 kart, that distinctive red and black. He's got one of the characters of Super Mario Brothers as a sort of a rocket on his kart. Pena, a very distinctive graphics kit, has always run that same black and red cartoon character graphics kit. Very, very, driver working on getting his own identity. That is the cartoon character that we associate with Andres Pena, almost as much as we associate the very large Stetson hat worn by his father around the paddock. Behind Pena, who is 1.8 seconds behind Wyatt White. He's 1 second exactly in front of Mikey Todd, who runs 5th. Jaden Jolivet is 6th. Jude Hendrickson, 7th. Drew Blem is 8th. Then it's Liam Haswell, Kensley Howie, Marcelo Tosta recovering from his spin, already back to 11th, ahead of the driver who flies the flag of Bosnia-Herzegovina on his car, Alan Zanic. I apologize to my friends from the Balkans. Then it is Alexander Mosley in 13th position, Lasek and Avellino out of the race. Up at the front, Blackwood now beginning to stretch his advantage ever so slightly over Cohen Scott. The clock has struck 0. The 2 sticks are in the air. Leo, the flagman, waits patiently in the orange and white pinstriped officials' clothing used here by the Texas Karting League. It's a very unique look for what is a very unique championship that has gained so much momentum in the last 18 months from a start-up championship. John and Jody Mueller pouring blood, sweat and tears into this series. And in year number 2, we've already got our first Texas Karting League alumni member who has qualified for the Rotax Grand Finals in the form of Nico Orbezzo. He will go to the biggest party in world karting at Portimao, Portugal in November to represent Team USA, and for the very first time, Texas Karting League will be represented at the big dance in just its 2nd season of existence, which bodes extremely well for the future of this championship and its drivers, who are being taught by the series organisers how to do things the right way. Yes, it may be a bit of a pain in the backside to be told you've got to change your stickers, you've got to put the right numbers on, you've got to make sure the numbers are legible, especially for some of the 206 drivers who are, as grassroots as it gets in karting. However, the idea behind it is to create an atmosphere of professionalism the minute that you walk through the gates, so the minute that you take the last checkered flag. Eventually, that will help the drivers beyond anything else. But Blackwood, Cohen Scott, and Wyatt White are here. It's why we've got a tech, Mike Edwards, one of the most respected tech officials in the United States, here overseeing matters. Yes, there are things that might get, overlooked or sort of, a finger out. Don't do that again. Other sort of regional championships, not a TKL. It can be a painful lesson as another black flag is waved. The checkered flag goes out for Tyler Blackwood. Cohen Scott second, Wyatt White third, Andreas Pena in fourth position. And there are, well, I won't give you the numbers. I'm looking at some of the notes that I can see. Jump start, passing under a yellow, and avoidable contact among the penalties that have been announced. Now, the penalties haven't been delivered, they haven't been confirmed, but those are some of the reports that I can see coming in from our race director, our assistant race director, and our track crew. They are on high alert. There is a process that you go through to get penalties confirmed or overturned. However, the message that has gone out this morning, as now we reach the 11:15 here on Sunday morning in New Caney, Texas, the temperature ticks over 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the first time. The breeze picks up. The Stars and Stripes flag that is emblazoned on the corner of the main race control building. It was wrapped around its pole. It is now, yes, flowing freely, fluttering in the breeze. And if it stops, I can actually count all 50 white stars and all 13 red and white stripes. But the drivers have been warned. This is finals day. It's the penultimate round of the season. Championships are on the line. You will behave accordingly. We'll be back for the next series of races very shortly. Hearts are on track for Junior Rotax, the pre-final. Pole position will be the number 260 Iron Rock Motorsports car of Alex Chandler. Alongside it, the gold crash helmet with the various Egyptian hieroglyphs designed to represent his Egyptian family heritage as well as his American family heritage is Kimo Ahmad. Cruz Rodriguez, third generation driver, the great grandson of the late Bonnie Martin, a trailblazer, the first female stock car racer to go and race from the USA in Japan. In the 224 kart, Cruz Rodriguez. Yoma Yomarangelis Vargas, the young lady in kart 207 who will celebrate her 12th birthday on Tuesday, starts fourth. Adrian Vargas, Clayton Stiles, Sofia Sadigova, Nico Orbezo after a poor heat race yesterday, only eighth. Hannah Bosch, Emmett Eddles, Nicholas Castro, Anderson and Nolan Mueller, and Ivan Garcia round out a very strong junior Rotax pre-final grid. They head into the tram lines, to the line, lights are out, we're off and racing now. It was at this point, at turn number 3 in the heat race yesterday, that we lost some of the main contenders, including Orbeso, which is why this grid is slightly mixed up. Everyone is safely through the first 4 corners this time. The top 5 drivers break clear down the back straight into turn number 6 and around Switchback City for the first time. Some of those that were caught out yesterday, 2 and 3 wide in the pack, trying desperately to recover lost ground and make up for lost time yesterday. But the top 5, Chandler, Rodriguez, Ahmad, Stiles and Vargas are still clear. That is Yomi Vargas. Her nickname is Yomi Vargas. Her actual name is Yomarangelis Vargas. Driver will be 12 years old on Thursday. End of lap number 1. Alex Chandler leads Kimo Ahmad, Cruz Rodriguez, Clayton Stiles, and Yomi Vargas. Hannah Bosch up into 6th position. Orbezo to 7th. Emmett Eddles to 8th. Sofia Sadigova to 9th. Adrian Vargas drops to 10th. Down at the back of the pack, you've got Nicholas Castro, Ivan Garcia, and the 2 Mueller brothers. But it's Alex Chandler on the Carlos Sainz chassis that has served that young talent so well. A 4th place finish in the Rotax Winter Trophy here at Speed Sports in January, the last weekend of January, the first weekend of February this year, on a weekend where temperatures plunged to below freezing. Hard to imagine that now. Chandler is breaking away. Chandler went to the US Rotax Nationals at Newcastle recently to try and go for a ticket to the big dance in Portugal. Didn't make it past turn 1 in the final, but had qualified that kart 4th. That kart has weld upon weld. I was with him at the last round of the America's Trophy at MCC Cincinnati in June this year, where despite the chassis snapping mid-race weekend, Chandler still was able to run inside the top 10 against the best junior Rotax drivers in the entire nation and beyond. Further back, Cruz Rodriguez in 3rd position, trying to hold off Clayton Stiles, Nico Orbezo, Rodriguez, in 2nd, Ahmad in 3rd. Then it's Stiles, Orbezo, and Bosch. Yoma Vargas has dropped to 7th position now. We've still got, Alex Chandler of 54.880. Chandler is picking them up and putting them down in terms of the lap times. At 54.880 last time around, Rodriguez in 2nd at 55.3. So half a second a lap quicker than everybody else is Alex Chandler. He's got clear track in front of him. He doesn't have to worry about defending his lead. He doesn't have to worry about taking defensive lines. He can just go. It's corner, apex, brake point, acceleration point. Rinse and repeat. He flicks through the flip-flops and heads down towards turn number 4. Down the back straight, Rodriguez managed to put some clear air between himself in second and the rapidly expanding third place battle, Nico Orbezo. Ooh, Nico Orbezo makes a move on Kimo Ahmad there into turn number 6. Runs Ahmad very, very wide. Kimo loses 3 places there as Orbezo, last of the late breakers, going into turn number 6. It costs Ahmad a few positions. Orbezo puts himself into P3. How much longer this Orbezo stays in third, I do not know. Cruz Rodriguez is, in fact, it wasn't Orbezo. I apologize. It was Clayton Stiles. Stiles, the Iron Rock Racing driver in P2, now chasing down the High Five Performance driver in P2, Cruz Rodriguez. We'll do a time check on that gap. It was 0.8 of a second at the start of this lap. And I'm looking up as they make their way through turn number 9. It is much less than 0.8 of a second now. In fact, by the end of this lap, Clayton Stiles would have reeled in that gap, and Cruz Rodriguez will have company sitting on his rear bumper. Behind them, Orbezo runs fourth. Bosch, Ahmad, Emmett Eddles, and Yoma Vargas. They are your top 8. Rodriguez, that is a superb lap from Clayton Stiles. 54.675 seconds. A new fastest lap of the race. He tucks into the slipstream of Rodriguez, heading down the back straight. He looks to the inside. Rodriguez doesn't even think about defending. Instead, he gives the position to Clayton Stiles, tucks into Stiles' slipstream and thinks, okay, Stiles, if you're that quick, I will simply try and get into your slipstream and follow you round. And that, if Cruz can do that, that will help push him away from Nico Orbezo, who is also closing in. Oh, a spin for Yomi Vargas coming out of turn number 9. The young lady from Puerto Rico had a great heat race yesterday, not having such a great time in the pre-final this morning. And Yomi Vargas is now down to 12th position in front of only Anderson and Nolan Mueller, who continue their own inter-family battle. They're a couple of seconds off the pace of everybody else, although they both just moved into juniors. When I may say just, I mean, I think this weekend, possibly their first weekend in juniors. But up at the front, Alex Chandler. Now, there used to be a phrase used by sort of sprint car promoters back in the day when the leader would dominate the race. He would say that, well, so-and-so just stunk up the show. Well, Alex Chandler has stunk up the show in this race because he's taken the lead and simply cleared off into the distance. Luckily, the show has been saved in this race by the battles going on further back. And the battles with 2 laps to go are still raging because Cruz Rodriguez now has to deal with Nico Orbezo. Slim Shady, round the outside from Nico Orbezo. Turn number 6, second Slim Shady of the weekend. After Ethan Wilson's effort at the boot yesterday, Orbezo obviously practicing his Euro moves ahead of his first big trip to Portugal for the grand finals later this year. Orbezo is into 3rd position. Cruz Rodriguez, High Five Performance driver, sits in 4th. Then it's a slight gap back to Tanner Bosch and Kimo Ahmad, 5th and 6th. Emmett Eddles still runs in a solid 7th. Adrian Vargas, Nicolas Castro from the back of the grid. Even Garcia now runs 10th with a Macron Motorsport operation. Sofia Sadigova, Yoma Vargas, Nolan and Anderson Mueller round out the running order. White flag has come out. Alex Chandler is already heading into the boot for the final time. The grey, black, and orange stripes of the Iron Rock Motorsports livery will once again be victorious here at Speed Sports Park Houston. Checkered flag, another win for Alex Chandler. Styles is second. Orbezo is third. Rodriguez, Bosch, Ahmad, Eddles, Castro, Vargas, and Garcia, your top 10. Sadigova, Yoma Vargas, Nolan Mueller. Well, we're still waiting. There goes Vargas across the line after her spin. And now we wait. It's going to be Nolan Mueller who beats his brother Anderson Mueller. Yesterday, Anderson Mueller beat Nolan, and today the brothers swap positions. That's Junior Racks into the books. Micromax drivers on circuit for their rolling lap. As we move towards the end of today's pre-finals, lights are out. It's Hayden Champson and JJ DeShong. JJ DeShong gets a great start from the outside of row number 1, sweeps around the outside of Hayden Sampson to take the race lead. Down the back straight we go. The all black MSL kart of DeShong leads. No, he doesn't, because it's a 3-wide move. Firstly, the TB kart of Hayden Sampson moves to the inside, and then it's Sebastian Kim. Kim on the MSL CRG with a bright aquamarine blue crash helmet has second place. So DeShong goes from first to third. And DeShong now slipping back to fourth position as well, because I think that's the no, DeShong still there in P3. Baron Chen in the Mint Motorsports entry is P4. And then Enzo Vizcayano rounds out the 5-kart field. I have to say, the Massimo Marcello Sanchez Lara team, the MSL CRG team, supplying 3 of the 5 entries. One of those 3 entries, Sebastian Kim, battling for the lead through Switchback City. That's why we call it Switchback City, because Kim gets to the inside. Coming out of turn number 9 on the outside, Sampson manages just to hold on. Into the boot we go. The bright green, the mean green TB kart machine of Hayden Sampson, the Micromax drivers, age 7, 8, and 9. Black crash helmet of Sampson still leads. Oh, Sebastian King had another little nibble at the race leader coming out of the final corner. They go away from me down towards the far end of the circuit, briefly out of my view behind the 2-story rental kart headquarters here at Houston's high-speed playground in New Caney, Texas. And we've got a new leader in New Caney. It's Sebastian Kim. I have to say, that move looked like it was coming about a lap and a half ago. Sampson will now have to recalibrate, rethink, and go again. The problem that Sampson has got is the fact that JJ DeShong is right there in third place. Chen and Vizcayano beginning to drop away. 3 karts, nose to tail at the head. There goes DeShong to the inside at turn number 14. The right-hand hairpin right in front of the spectator area. They're still side by side for second. Coming out of turn 15 and across the start-finish line, Sampson manages to stay in P2 by virtue of the fact that he may have been on the outside line for the run out to the final corner. That put him on the inside line for the flat-out turn 1 left-hander, and that's kept him in P2. Kim continues to stretch his advantage ever so slightly. The field make their way into the boot. Kim actually extending his advantage because Sampson is now more concerned with defending second place over JJ DeShong. That's the corner, turn 14, that DeShong made his move last, or made an attempt last time. Sampson once again defends on this occasion, stops DeShong from getting the momentum. DeShong looks to the inside going into turn number 4 as they flash out of my view. And as they re-emerge into my view, I can see that Sampson has retained second place once again. Those last few little white, puffy, fluffy clouds have now fully disappeared into the atmosphere. Nothing overhead than bright, apart from bright blue, sun-drenched skies beating down on the grass, which continues to turn from a luscious, moisture-starved brown around circuit in the United Kingdom, where I'm from, of a drought grass across the farmland, up down the English countryside, and indeed the Welsh countryside is a fine shade of yellow. Here in Houston, there has been a lot of rain build up to the summer. grass retaining a fraction more moisture, even though sun is relentless. Did have a very brief shower. Thunderstorm here on offered very little respite for everybody. Not humidity, which still sits at around 55%, makes it feel about 5 to 6 degrees warmer as you're walking around the paddock. Actually, is heat brutal, debilitating. Drivers cannot afford to think about the energy sapping overhead. They have their job to do. Kim continues to lead. Next time by, we will get the two sticks in the air. The battle rages on for second, about 7/10 of a second behind Bastian Kim. DeShong and Sampson, all black CRG of DeShong, red race suit, black crash helmet, all black cart, head of the bright green white TV cart livery, TV cart graphics kit of Hayden Sampson, who has a similar all black crash helmet. Must be drivers hotter as the sun just absorbs all the absorbs by the black graphics kits, black paint job on crash helmets, and the drivers chasing down the race leader. 2 laps to go, and Sebastian Kim's advantage has been trimmed from 7/10 of a second to 4/10 of a second down the long back straight. Sampson looks to the inside of DeShong, going into Switchback City as they flick right, left, and right again. Now the right-hander out of turn number 9, down through 10. Hard on the brakes with a boot at 11. 180 degrees left. Back up through the flat out turn 12 kink towards my commentary. And Hayden Sampson gets a great move done out of turn 13. He simply let the cart roll out of the corner a little bit freer, and that set him up perfectly for an inside dive bomb into turn 14. It did not work. DeShong hangs on to P2. Once again, down the back straight, white flag in the air. Sampson and DeShong side by side. Sampson grabs P2, going into Switchback City. DeShong dives back underneath Sampson, coming out of Switchback City. That is a perfect example of why we call it Switchback City. You can get the switchback of the driver you're battling with coming out of all 3 corners of Switchback City. DeShong retains second. Sampson into turn 14. Can't make the move. Sebastian Kim comes out of the final corner, hand in the air. And in second place, JJ DeShong beats his chest like King Kong as he crosses the line in P2. Hayden Sampson is third. I have to say that, that celebration from JJ DeShong, it was very much like King Kong. And being somebody, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I do have an education behind me. I know I disguise it very well. However, I do have a degree, an honors degree in journalism, film, and broadcasting. And I was showing my teenage son the original 1933 film King Kong. First ever use of backlit projection and stop motion animation in Hollywood cinema. And yes, that the 1933 King Kong beating his chest as he climbs the Empire State Building with the young lady Vera Lynn in his arms. Reminding me slightly of that. That's the only time that JJ DeShong will get likened to a stop motion gorilla, I have to say. But that concludes Micromax pre-final. Baron Chen finishing in fourth position. Enzo Viciano finishing in fifth. We've got two pre-finals to go before the lunch break, ladies and gentlemen. You hear once again this afternoon from Adam Nunes, who is busy working tirelessly in the background to get audio. People at the circuit are listening to this broadcast on Discord and on the TKL YouTube channel as the Max Masters and Club Max drivers go out. Now, we did have 6 starts in this combined grid yesterday. It does look like Linwood Mosley, ex-US Army First Sergeant Lightning Linwood, has not gone out for the race. Is also looking after his young son Alex Mosley in Minimax. So hopefully we'll see Linwood out for the final. Did come out for the heat race yesterday and then retired as he tried to chase down Davis and Adam Barr. So the two brothers now have a personal duel for Rotax Masters honours. Behind them, the 3 drivers in Club Max, the drivers, your engine. Daniel Howie, Josh Norman, and Griffin Pugh. And I will, once again, you'll have to, ladies and gentlemen, you have to humor me. I am a child at heart. There we go. Davis and Adam Barr. Davis Barr in the number 925 comp cart. Watermelon designed crash helmet. Adam Barr, the red and white race suit. White crash helmet. They take the start and head down towards turn number 4. Here comes Davis Howie. To the line, Josh Norman grabs the early lead from Daniel Howie. Davis, Daniel Howie, Griffin Pugh in third place. They are about half a lap behind the Max Masters, led by Davis Barr. Only by a pick over Adam Barr. Club Max drivers go through turn number 6 and enter Switchback City for the first time. And I'm looking to, is that the comp cart? So we've got comp carts leading both classes. I want to have a little look to see. Now, I know Josh Norman is on a Formula K chassis. Third position, it is a comp cart. Number 710, Griffin Pugh, who has taken the lead in Club Max. So, all 3 contenders in Club Max have taken their turn at the head of the field in the and the start of the pre-final. How long can Griffin Pugh hold on? Because he's got Daniel Howie situated right on his rear bumper as they head into turn number 6. Howie has a look to the inside, runs a bit wide, but that gives him the inside line for turn number 7. It gives him the inside line entry to turn 8, but in true Switchback City style, that leaves susceptible. They're side by side for the race lead, going down into the boot. Josh Norman to the inside of Daniel Howie, who gets squeezed like a teenager, pops a zit. Norman, however, is the eventual loser. Coming out to turn number 14. Here comes the High Five Performance Kart, Daniel Howie. The 3 Club Max karts are putting on an epic show here. They're still 3 wide. But how often do you say that? The entire field is side by side heading into one corner. Now, Howie gets a break of about 3 kart lengths as they head down the long back straight. Still, the end of the back straight, there's a long runoff area, a row of red and white interlockable barriers, then the fencing, then the paddock. Before you get to the paddock, there is a small set of bleacher seat grandstands. empty at the moment. Why? Because sun is beating down and is making that metal very, very hot in outside of the door that leads into this building that I'm in is red hot. And you actually had to put a little bit of almost like tape on it to allow people to open the door without burning their hands. It is that warm here at Houston's high speed playground this weekend. However, the Club Max drivers, remember when I said that, Daniel Howie has opened up a 4 kart length lead over Griffin Pugh and Josh Norman. Ah, yes, that was a lap ago. That 4 kart length lead is now down to a 0 kart length lead as the comp car of Griffin Pugh starts to have a little sniff around the rear end of Howie's high five performance machine. .3 minutes plus 2 laps to go. This Club Max race is living proof that you don't need a full field of karts to have a great race. In fact, you only need 2. Well, we're lucky. We've got 3. And they're putting on an absolute barn burner. Down the back straight. Not missing anything in Max Masters. Davis Barr leads his brother Adam by a full second now. Adam in the red and white Birrell ART chassis, going against brother Davis on the comp kart chassis. So still 1 or 2 people here in the United States karting paddock believe Turo. It is the comp kart becoming a lesser spotted wagon, I have to say, in the United States. But those that still have a comp kart are very, very competitive with it. Back to battle in Club Max as they snake their way down signed turn 4 and 5 section. Now, those trees, they form a nice sort of L-shaped covering of the circuit. They protect the trailers, the houses, and the industrial units that sit just beyond trees behind the circuit. They protect those buildings and the residents live in some of those buildings from the noise of the carts, although Texas does have quite attitude towards people who complain about noisy cart engines. They think, well, this circuit was here longer than you chose to buy a property next to the circuit, so deal with it. And I think that's a fantastic way to go to, when we have awkward residents in the UK. And I'm talking about I'm giving you asides because the battle has finally calmed down. In the UK, you have a kart circuit, say let's call it Dunkerswell, which is a circuit here, and Dunkerswell sits in a lovely little South Devonshire parish, and about 2 miles away from Dunkerswell, there's the village of Dunkerswell. Dunkerswell has been in existence since the early 1960s, and yet in about 2015, when a person moved in Dunkerswell, knowing full well there's a kart circuit right around the corner, that person then complained about the noise of the go-karts. And the council went, oh, I'm so sorry, we'll slap a load of noise restrictions onto Dunkerswell, almost forcing the whole circuit, was been in existence for 60 years, out of business. Because somebody decides, well, I want to move here because it has nice views. Let's just get rid of that noisy kart circuit that's been there longer than I've been alive. And so, okay, we deal with things that way, whereas Texas deal with things the right way. Don't like it? Move house again. Not to be said for that. 2 sticks in the air for Davis and Adam Barr. Into the boot goes the 3 contenders in Club Max. Now, Daniel Howie in that high five performance machine was 4 kart lengths in front of Griffin Pugh and Josh Norman. He's now 2 kart lengths in front. They take the white flag. Pugh in second. Norman in third. Have got 1 lap to try and do something about Daniel Pugh. Davis Barr will win Masters. Who will win Club Max? Up the back straight we go. Pugh punching down behind the NASA panel. Give Daniel Howie a little bit of a love tap in the draft. Into Switchback City. Here comes the Formula K chassis of Josh Norman. Has a little nibble. Drops back. That, I think, does it for Josh Norman. He'll have to settle for third unless something spectacular happens between us. Into the boot we go. No last-minute lunge from Griffin Pugh. So no last-minute lunge from Pugh. Daniel Harry goes, Pugh. He comes out of the final corner and will take the win in Club Max. No, he won't take the win. Sorry, that is the white flag going out. I apologise. I thought it was the start of the last lap. It is the start of the last lap now. Checkered flag is coming out for Davis and Adam Barr. Continue to run about half a lap ahead of everybody else. Davis Barr comes out of the final corner. The Club Max carts are in Switchback City. No change of order there. Davis Barr takes the win in Max Masters. Adam Barr finishes second. Daniel Howie is clear of Griffin. The lead of Club Max. Hugh has got his hands full with Josh Norman. They've got 2 corners to go. Through turn number 13. Into turn 14. Oh, Josh Norman has half a little nibble to the inside. Backs out of it. Have to fully commit to any move at turn number 14. Josh Norman didn't, and then backed out of it quite wisely, might I add. That means Daniel Howie is your Club Max pre-final winner. So, what I would say is this weekend we are here in Speed Sports Racing Park. We haven't got visuals to bring you, but you have audio. It could be worse, ladies and gentlemen. You all could be racing in Markham with the IndyCar series this weekend, because if you want to know how to mess up an event, just go and see what IndyCar have done in Canada this weekend. I think it's safe to say that if John and Jody Mueller were in charge of this weekend's IndyCar event in Markham, Toronto, it would be a lot better than it is now. Hello, Mr. Penske. How are you? One pre-final to go. I'm a karting guy anyway. One pre-final to go. It is for our FC125 gifters. This, a new concept brought about by Billy Musgrave and his team and the Factory Kart team. It is, I believe, in my humble opinion, humble is quite literally about 20 minutes down the road. That's where we'll be staying. But my humble opinion, it's what? Humble. Well, in that case, humble is one thing, but in Yorkshire, it's humble. My humble opinion is this. I think that FZ125 Senior is an absolutely fantastic addition to the kart fraternity in terms of a class. You moan about too many classes in karting. Well, you know what? Carry on. You carry on moaning. Instead of worrying about too many classes, how about worrying about bringing more drivers into the sport so that every single one of those classes has got full grids wherever you go? That would be my solution to the problem. This FZ125 category, first year running competitive. Brandon Green will sit from pole position. It's a standing start. Taylor Roddy on the outside of row number 1. Stephen Hester on the inside of row number 2. Only 3 carts. We were supposed to have 4. Bobby Klein's cart decided to break. And Bobby Klein is out marshalling. In fact, recalled yesterday's racing. At the end of the day, Bobby Klein was the marshal who sprinted after 10 hours on post in the beating sun. He was the marshal that was sprinting hundreds of meters to pick up poor old Stephen Hester, who this time makes it round turn number 6 in P2 without any issues, and almost had an issue there with Taylor Roddy coming out of Switchback City. Brandon Green, meanwhile, is up the road and gone already. This race will not be a classic, I have to say. 3 carts all running at very different paces as these drivers get used to what it is like to have a 6-shifter engine underneath you. Yes, it is not quite as quick as the KZs, the pro shifters, or as we call them here in the United States. However, they still give you more than enough bang for your buck. And the whole point is that it doesn't cost that many bucks, give you a very big bang. I think I got away with that one. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen. I would say, and I said it yesterday, greatest of respect to Brandon Green, Taylor Roddy, and Hester. They are not 3 drivers. Karting budget allows them to race pro shifter, but they can and are racing shifter karting courtesy of the FC125 category. Their lap times 53-second. So times are similar to the Rotax times, I believe. I will have to have a little look to see got a results anywhere that I could check. Couple of fastest laps from some of the other classes to give you a comparison of the performance levels of the FZ125 carts. So, Brandon Green, a 53.32 last time. He's going to go quicker this time. This is another 53.3. So that compares to Joey Friend's best lap of a 54. Carts are a second a lap quicker than the senior Rotax carts. Now, Pro Shifter, the KZ shifters, they are obviously a bit quicker than that. However, that isn't the point. So you're traveling faster than a Rotax, and yet you've got six gears to deal with, and it's a lot cheaper than any other shift car package, which I think is, only be good for the. And if one thing, Musgrave, ingrained in Billy Musgrave, well, apart from his 2 young twin boys who have just literally been born about a month ago, congratulations to Billy. I hope that you are enjoying the lack of sleep. Billy Musgrave is used to not sleep very much because Billy Musgrave is used to working day in, day out, night in, night out on developing ways to make karting more accessible for the American public. This is his baby, as it were, his karting baby. And at the start of 2025, US Trophy West event at Phoenix, I was there when the karts first touched the tarmac and drivers in junior and senior given a chance to test them. And I watched as the engines were fired and the first karts, driven, I think, by Nathan Dupuy, if my memory serves me correctly, hit the circuit, and the tears that were streaming down Billy's cheeks watching kids coming in going, oh my God, that's amazing. Something that will live long with me. Watching a driver, a man, a five-time, six-time Supernats champion, the All-American badass Billy Musgrave, literally melt into tears just looking at kids having fun in karts that he had well, well, not necessarily the karts, but the actual class he had envisaged, conceptualized, developed, produced, and brought to fruition. Brandon Green leads by 6.5 seconds in his number 61 kart. His driver coach, John, who yesterday for some of the social media content that will come out of the event, thanks to our social media. Will very, very pleased for Brandon Green's driver coach, John, watching Brandon, who this time has finally learnt how to get the kart off the line. Yesterday in the heat race, he stalled it, had to do another restart. But of course, when these karts spin and the engine cuts out, there's no onboard starter. Old school. Pick them up and push them. Get them started. Or not even pick them up, but just push, push, push to get them started. And as Leo, our starter, realized that when they do go, they go very, very quickly. I would give the forward roll on the start finish line a 6.8. Not a 6 point, not a 6.9, not a 6.7, a 6.8. The barrel roll on the circuit for our flagman, who is, well, who has not got any bandages on his rather scuffed up kneecaps this morning. Brandon Green, meanwhile, gets the 2 sticks across the line, is improved. Well, that's interesting. Set his fastest lap a long time ago on lap number 2. Back 6.5 seconds in front of Taylor Roddy, heads down the back straight. The fastest karts here. Into Switchback City he goes. Down through the box. Up through the gears as he heads out of Switchback City. Now left into the boot. Hard the brakes, down through the gear. And this is proper karting where you've only got one hand on the steering wheel for about a third of a lap as you're shifting up and down so much. I would celebrate too if I were Brandon. And I do not want to be a harbinger of doom as he takes the white flag, but I've noticed the right rear half of Brandon Green's rear bumper. It's not touching the circuit, but it's very, very low. And it's a lot lower than the left-hand side of his rear bumper. And I really hope, well, it's hanging on, is that bumper. Maybe that's why Brandon Green has not been pushing the envelope. He comes into turn number 14. The checkered flag awaits. And I hope that that rear bumper is all the way attached. Because if it isn't, that could be a drama. Taylor Roddy finishes second. And Stephen Hester. Let's have a look. Hester's best lap, a 55.85 second lap. Well done, Stephen Hester. Getting quicker and quicker and quicker as the weekend progresses. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the pre-finals here this morning. We have a break for lunch here at the circuit. We will be back with the start of not one, not two, but 9 main events starting at 1 p.m. local time. While listening in Central Europe, that would be 8 p.m. local time. You're listening in the United Kingdom, that would be 7 p.m. local time. If you're listening on the east coast of United States, that would be 2 p.m. local time. And if you're listening on the west coast in California, that would be midday your time. We'll be back under blazing hot skies in Houston's hottest high playgrounds, speed sports racing park, the main events of round 4 of the 2026 Texas Karting League. It's the Galactic Derby 2, and the finals be with you starting 1 o'clock local time. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in about an hour.